So ladies and gentlemen, this session will talk about how CMOs are thinking ahead about AI, the highest impact of AI-led use cases, and the most critical factors that are needed to succeed in this journey. Well, we're honored that we're now going to be calling on stage Ms. Parul Bajaj, Managing Director and Partner of Boston Consulting Group. Let's give Ms. Bajaj a warm round of applause. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Am I audible? Great to be here. Thank you for having me, and thank you, PK, thank you, Tushar, and thank you, Shibani, for an outstanding start to this wonderful day. Let me actually set a little bit of context on what I mean by AI-powered marketing and commerce. We experience the power of AI already in our day-to-day life. This image would be very familiar to all of us. I'm sure all of us watch Netflix once in a while. And of course, we've all known that Netflix gives us specific recommendations depending on our interests. But how many of you actually knew that the image that they show you on your Netflix homepage for the same series will be the image that they show to the person sitting next to you? And that is the power of AI, and that's the power of personalization. Of course, that is Netflix, but you see this happening with Starbucks, you see this with Sephora, L'Oreal, the list is just endless now. And why are companies actually adopting AI so prominently? It actually has very disruptive implications in both marketing as well as commerce. It can increase efficiency, it can reduce work, and it can reduce repetitive work which does not fundamentally require expertise. It, of course, can fundamentally improve customer experience to a highly superior fashion. And it can help companies build competitive advantage where potentially none existed. We actually went and talked to a few CMOs, and this is globally. We went and talked to a few CMOs to understand how they are thinking about AI. And what we clearly heard was that 70% of the CMOs are highly optimistic about AI and the application of AI in marketing in the future. We also heard that actually 85% of them plan to launch some application of Gen AI, whether it's a product, it's a service, it's a process. 85% of them actually plan to adopt and launch Gen AI as part of their work in the near future. And what we heard was predominantly it's personalization. The example I already talked about, right? So 67% of them actually believe personalization will be the highest impact use case as part of AI in marketing. However, it's not that simple. It's not just about saying, hey, I want to do personalization, let me actually get moving with that. What we also heard from CMOs is that they have a set of challenges that they are grappling with, or a set of questions that they're grappling with as they're thinking about Gen AI. What is Gen AI? How should we approach Gen AI? Where in all of my functions, even within marketing, is it product innovation, marketing funnel, marketing operations, commerce, where is it that I can unlock the highest productivity or the highest impact using Gen AI? What is the right strategy? Should I think about an end-to-end solution? Should I think about an end-to-end transformation? Or should I think about specific use cases led by business impact? Do I need partnerships? Do I need to do this myself, or can I go and partner with a set of organizations out there who can help me get this done very quickly? There are risks of Gen AI. We've heard a few horror stories already globally. So how should I mitigate risks related to Gen AI? Right? Are there safety concerns, IP concerns, privacy concerns, fairness concerns? Is it going to lead to bias? What's going to happen? No one knows right now. And therefore, how as early adapters can they actually navigate some of these pitfalls, navigate some of these risks, is a big question that they're grappling with. And underpinning all of this is really the application of AI in the core organization and the operating model and the ways of working. And that adoption is the one thing that will truly drive impact in these organizations. As we think about the applications of AI across the entire consumer experience, the entire consumer funnel, we actually see 6 primary use cases playing out, or 6 primary areas where we believe AI can have a significant impact. The first one is creating dynamic content and really optimizing the marketing workflows to be able to develop content at scale in a very efficient manner. The second one is sensing customer demand and then using that to drive superior product innovation. Automating all of the entire market research process, whether it's the survey, it's the interview planning, it's the analysis, and then leveraging those insights to really drive superior product innovation. The third one is customer service. And there are many applications out there, whether it's chatbot, it's conversational commerce, but again, how can AI be leveraged to actually deliver superior customer service? And that's an important one to think through. The fourth one here is, again, dynamic content, but thinking about personalization and personalization at scale, which is really thinking about a segment of one. We talked about right message, right person, right place, right time, but really that is an important use case from AI. Sales, of course, and this is not bypassing the human element of sale, but this is really enabling and assisting the salesperson on the shop floor to actually deliver a set of outcomes in a more efficient manner. And then finally, the sixth one is conversational commerce, and we've seen this now getting adopted by several companies, but really leveraging trends, leveraging your preferences, your past buying behavior and the current context to be able to have an intelligent conversation with you and really get you to convert. And that's the full art of the possible that as it stands today as we think about AI in both marketing as well as commerce. I'll talk about a couple of them which we clearly see a significant movement on currently, globally as well as in India. The first one is conversational commerce. Historically, of course, when we started with conversational commerce many years back, it was primarily human-based, right? There was a human sitting on the other side of the computer who was then having a conversation with you, either on text or on call. We've then moved, and this is predominantly where we are today, is basically a rule-based chatbot. Basis a set of very objective parameters, a set of objective Q&A, there are standardized answers that you will get, and that's the rule-based chatbot. Where some companies have now started moving to is actually Gen AI-enabled chat, which is really personalized chat interactions, leveraging your past buying behavior and being able to actually then generate the right recommendations and offers for you to get you to convert. And that's, I think, the next step. And then, of course, where this could go in terms of the art of the possible would be full voice and video based Gen AI chatbots, where you can literally have a conversation with a bot on the other side and really almost feel like a near human interaction. We've actually gone and talked to consumers to understand where is it that they would, and we've looked at two axes. Which categories would they be interested in trying conversational commerce powered by AI? And what is the level of involvement or advice they need in that category? And what we see is, three kind of actually clusters play out. There are categories where consumers actually have a very high interest in leveraging Gen AI in conversational commerce. And these are classically high involvement categories, or high involvement purchases potentially bought as bundles. So for example, travel. If I want to book my travel, if I want to book a holiday, then how do I think about flights, hotels, destinations? That's actually an important use case for conversational commerce. On the other hand, there are a set of categories or products which consumers find very complex to buy, and they are low frequency items. And there actually consumers are very skeptical about using AI-based conversational commerce. So for example, buying a car. I'm not going to buy a car by talking to a chatbot. I still want that human interaction. I still want to go to the dealer. I still want to do the test drive. And I want to be comfortable with what I'm buying. And the bottom left is a set of categories which are more frequent in nature, where consumers don't want to really think about it too much. It's not about the level of advice. There's no level of engagement. So for example, just your day-to-day grocery shopping, or day-to-day food delivery, potentially a long chat with a near human interaction is not what consumers are actually looking for. And therefore, depending on the category that you operate in, it is important to think through the level of adoption of and the level of investment you want to make on conversational commerce in your business. Let me move to another use case which we see very relevant and already being adopted in the marketing funnel, which is thinking about how to do personal creative campaign and content creation at scale using GenAI. In the past, you'd basically, if I look at the amount of time it would take to create a typical campaign, it would be 6 weeks or even more. And there would be a consumer inciting stage following into creating a marketing strategy and creating a brief, then producing content, then localizing content for a set of markets, languages, consumers, visuals, and so on and so forth. And in our experience, 6 weeks is the bare minimum it would take to actually go from consumer inciting to the final content and collateral production. That can now be crunched to as less than a day, right? And that can only be done by leveraging the power of GenAI, using elements like ChatGPT to actually be able to generate consumer personas, to generate different combinations of content, different combinations of collateral, even to generate surveys, analyze some of the insights, and so on and so forth. If I move to the third use case I wanted to talk about, and that's the one I said was the highest priority for CMOs when we went and talked to them, it's personalization. And I know we talk about personalization a lot, but really when we talk about this across the entire funnel of awareness to consideration, conversion, and then repeat or loyalty, we actually see clear use cases of personalization. So moving from where we are today, where in terms of creating awareness, there is, of course, now personalized content, right? You will have a different imagery for, many companies now already have moved to really specific micro-market level targeting and having different imagery, for example, on Meta for, say, Maharashtra versus Delhi, depending on the weather context, depending on what's happening in the local market, and so on and so forth. But that is costly and time-consuming to produce without AI. That can now move to hyper-personalized ads and can be done at scale with very low cost. And that's a significant upside for marketers as we think about it. Similarly, on brand.com, which is just the direct-to-consumer websites that many brands operate in, creating useful content has been expensive in the past. Especially if you think about a larger horizontal website which has several categories, there are specifically low interest categories where why should you create content which is then of no use to the consumer? That can now move in a very credible manner, not just in terms of content, but also actually use chatbots to deliver personalization for the consumers. Similarly, search is an important element, right? And many of us actually spend a fair amount of our marketing dollars on search and discovery and doing SEO optimization and so on. However, it's not always relevant for the brand and the brand objectives that they are looking at. Therefore, can we now move actually to conversational search? And we all heard about Bing coming up with that functionality, potentially Google coming up with that functionality, but that's going to be important as we think about really optimizing search using GenAI. Finally, if I look at driving loyalty, driving repeat purchases, in the past, we've all, again, both been a victim as well as the perpetrator of lots of email marketing with extremely low open rates, no consumers really engaging on the email. It's just a complete mess. How can we actually now move that to really targeting that consumer, not just through email, but at the right point, right place, right point, right trigger, such that they really are accepting it. So for example, and this is the easiest example I've heard of, right? In the US, if a consumer has a macchiato on a regular basis and the weather suddenly changed and it's now cold, and the consumer actually walks into that same Starbucks at 8 a.m. every morning to pick up their coffee before going to work, at 7:45, they actually get an alert saying, hey, the weather's cold today, do you want to try a hot chocolate instead, right? And that actually obviously will have more immediate impact versus say an email that the consumer may have got overnight, which they probably wouldn't have even opened. And therefore, Gen AI actually allows us to unlock hyper-personalization across the entire consumer funnel in the right manner. And yes, I've talked a lot about all the different use cases, but actually it's not just about the algorithm, and this is something we truly believe it's the art of 10, 20, 70. To actually get impact from any of these analytics or AI-driven use cases, only 10% of that would be attributed to the actual algorithm. 20% is the technology or the IT side of it, which is just the quality of the data, the integrity of the data, the availability, the kind of visualization that's there, the platforms, and so on and so forth. But 70% of it is actually around driving changes in the processes, the people, and the culture of the organization, which is really around redesigning the business processes, redesigning the organization structure, creating digital literacy and getting the right talent and skill set in the organization to then take it forward. And around all of this, do the right set of change management and communication. We strongly believe that actually that's 70% of the success will be driven by people, processes, and culture, 20% by technology and IT, and only 10% by the actual algorithm or the actual model that you're using. That's what I had for today. If there are any questions, happy to take them or catch up on the sidelines. Thank you so much for being a great audience.